Okay, welcome to all. Today we are going to take class for NTA, NET and JRF paper 1 classes for teaching aptitude, and already we have done one video. Teaching aptitude video 1 is given in the playlist and it is the second part video. Okay, so in the last class we have discussed about the maxims of teaching, about micro teaching and all, and today we are going to look further into the subject of teaching aptitude. Okay, so it is the paper 1 video and we are taking teaching aptitude. It is the second video. Okay, so let's look at the topics here. So first of all we are going to look at what is effective teaching. Okay, so first of all we are going to look at effective teaching, what all points we need to look in effective teaching. Okay, so the first point, or to be an effective teacher, a teacher should have high expectations. It means a teacher should have high expectations towards his students, his or her students. Okay, so to be an effective teacher, a person or a teacher should have high expectations. It is the first point. The second point is acknowledging individual differences. Okay, we all know that each individuals are unique in their own way, so a teacher should acknowledge the individual differences of each student sitting before him. Okay, so it is the second point to be an effective teacher. The third point is using a range of pedagogies. Okay, pedagogies means it is a way of teaching of small children. So a teacher, especially if he is teaching for younger kids, he has to use a wide range of pedagogies. Okay, the next point is encouraging student responsibility. Students should feel responsible while he is learning something. So it is the duty of the teacher to encourage students to be more responsible. Okay, he need to feel responsible towards the society as well as towards the subject which he is learning. Okay, that is the fourth point. The fifth point is having mastery of their teaching content. A teacher, before going to class or before going to take a class, he should have mastery of the content which he is going to take. Okay, that's the fifth point to be an effective teacher. Okay, the next point is providing a safe environment, both physical and emotional. A teacher should not emotionally hurt or physically hurt, or he or she should make sure his students are physically as well as emotionally safe in the classroom as well as in the premises of the school as well as outside the school also. Okay, so he has to take care of the students very carefully. Okay, that is the sixth point for to be an effective teacher. Okay, the next point is building a positive relationship with the student. Okay, building a positive relationship with the student. Okay, the next point is monitoring progress and providing feedback. A teacher has to closely monitor the progress of each student, and he or she has to give proper feedback to students as well as to their parents if necessary, so that then only there will be growth for the students. Okay, so it is the eighth point. Okay, the last point is teaching skills in a teacher. A teacher is not someone who just goes and read a book. Anybody can go out there and read a book and convey what is written in that book. So a teacher is not like that. A teacher has to possess so many teaching skills to convey the message in a book or a Okay, we have already take a look at the characteristics of to be an effective teacher. Okay, now we are going to look at the characteristics of good education institution. So what are all the characteristics an education institution, a good education institution must possess? Okay, so let's look at the points. The first point is establish consistency in teaching and learning across the organization. So an institution or the head of the institution has to make sure that every teacher is teaching properly. If someone is teaching very effectively and some other teacher is not teaching that effectively, or is teaching very poorly to students, then it will affect the learning of students. Okay, they might get confused whether the organization or the institution is better or not. because some are teaching in a proper way and some are not teaching in a proper way. So it is the responsibility of a good education institution to make sure that every teacher is teaching their subjects properly. Okay, it is the first point. The second point is engender a culture of professional debate and developmental lesson observation. An education institution has to encourage a professional debate culture. Okay, debates are very much important, vital to learning. Okay, so whether it's between teachers and students, or it's between teachers and the head of the institutions, or whether it's between the teachers, proper professional debates should be encouraged by the good education institution. Okay, as well as development of lesson observation. Proper lesson observation should be developed also. Okay, these are the second characteristic of good education institution. Okay, the next point is rigorously monitor and evaluate what they are doing. The head of the institution or the team which work as the head of the institution must rigorously monitor. They have to look at what the teachers are doing, what the students are doing. Everything should be monitored properly. Okay, it is the third point. And the next point is prioritize the teaching of literacy, especially in a child's early years. Okay, in early year, we all know that in kindergarten, or whether in primary and upper primary and all, the literacy quality, or the language quality of a student must be properly guided with, because language is well acquired in a younger age. So when we get to higher classes, we will be learning more concepts and all. So to convey in an examination and all, students must possess good language skills, whether it is written or whether it is oral as well. So it is the responsibility of a good education institution to prioritize teaching of literacy in a younger age students. Okay, so it is the fourth point. And the last point is focus on needs, interests and concerns of each individual learner. So a good education institution must focus on needs, interests and concerns of each individual student learning there. Okay, so these are the 5 important characteristics of a good education institution. Okay, so our next topic is taxonomies of educational objectives. Okay, taxonomies is a kind of subject which is repeatedly asked in NECT exams. Okay, so let's look at what is taxonomies and what are the important points we need to learn about in taxonomies of educational objectives. Okay, so the first point is objectives. Let's look at what is objectives. Objectives can be defined as the directions in which a whole educational effort should move. Objectives basically means goals. Okay, so the direction in which an educational institution has to move, so that is objective. They are kind of change an educator seeks to bring about in the child. Okay, so as a teacher is concerned, his objective is a positive change which should be happening in a student. Okay, that's the main objective of a teacher. Okay, so objectives is the direction in which you are going. Okay, which means a result which you are seeking. Okay, so it is the first point in taxonomies of educational objectives. The next point is objectives. Okay, objectives are the specific and immediate goal attained as a result of classroom teaching. Okay, so as I told before, they are basically goals, and it makes teaching goal oriented and purposeful. Okay, so a teacher must have an objective while he is teaching, which should be a positive change in the student. Okay, the next point is they serve as the basis of planning learning activities. So it helps to plan how to teach and which content should be taught and how to monitor, how to give feedback and all. All this planning can be done if you have a proper objective. Okay, so these are the basic points on objectives. Then the number of attempts have been made by experts to develop schemes for classification of specific instructional objectives. So many experts have made or developed different schemes schemes means different kinds of plans, okay, to classify specific instructional objectives, okay. The next point is the most outstanding and internationally known effort made by Dr. Benjamin S. Bloom in 1956, taxonomy of educational objectives, okay. So these taxonomies of educational objectives is developed by Dr. Benjamin S. Bloom, okay, and it is developed in 1956. The year must be noted very carefully. It is developed in 1956, okay. Okay, we need to look at the further points in taxonomies of educational objectives. Okay, first of all we need to look the word of taxonomy, how it is derived, okay. The word is derived from two Greek words. One is taxis and other is namos. Taxis means arrangement and namos means law. So basically taxonomy means lawful arrangement, okay, lawful arrangement, okay. The next point is it is nothing but an analysis of growth of mind. Taxonomy is nothing but it means that how analysis should be made on the growth of mind, okay, in students. The third point is the mind has three domains. It has to be noted very carefully. The mind has three domains according to Bloom's taxonomies of educational objectives. He said that the mind has three domains. One is cognitive, which is related with knowing. The one is affective, which is related with feeling. The last one is psychomotor, which is related with doing, okay. There are three domains mind possess. One is cognitive, related to knowing. The second one is affective, related to feeling. The third one is psychomotor, related to doing, okay. The next point is related with the third point. It says that provide a common language about educational goals that can bridge subject matter and grade levels, okay. There should be a standard in education, okay. We all know that our higher secondary or high school exams are conducted in a subjective manner. It is not conducted on an objective manner, okay. So one institution will not conduct in objective and one institution will vary with a subjective manner, okay. Everyone is conducting higher secondary examination in a subjective way. So like I said, there should be a common language about educational goals, okay. Then the next subpoint is serve as a touchstone for specifying the meaning of board educational goals for classroom, okay. It should serve as a touchstone means it should serve as a benchmark of educational goals, okay. The next point is help to determine the congruence of goals, classroom activities and assessments. All should be helped. How? Through the taxonomies of educational objectives, okay. The next point is provide a panorama of range of possible educational goals against which the limited breadth and depth of any particular educational curriculum may be contrasted. So we should, so on Bloom's taxonomy, the next important point which should be looked at is cognitive domain, okay. In cognitive domain, it said that the idea of creating a taxonomy on educational objectives was conceived by Mr. Benjamin Bloom in 1956, okay. We all know, we have already seen that, and it's saying that in cognitive domain, Bloom is saying that Bloom sought to reduce the extensive labor of test development, okay. Test development means preparing question papers and all, okay, by exchanging the test items among universities. If one university is have already prepared a particular test for a particular subject, then it can exchange it with another university, so that the extensive labor for conducting tests will be reduced, okay. That's one of the ideas which he presented. And the next point is he believed this could be facilitated by developing a carefully defined framework into which items measuring the same objective could be classified. So he believed that this kind of an arrangement can be developed by carefully defining a framework among all universities, okay. Then the next point is cognitive domain aims to develop the mental skill. So what does the cognitive domain aims to develop? It aims to develop mental skill and the acquisition of knowledge of the individual. It is the main important point here, okay, which need to be noted. What is a cognitive domain? Cognitive domain aims to develop mental skill and acquisition of knowledge of the individual, okay. Okay, let's continue with cognitive domain. And cognitive domain encompasses of 6 categories, which include knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis and evaluation. One of the most important points to be noted. Okay, cognitive domain encompasses knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis and education. There are 6 points which should be noted very carefully. First one is knowledge, second one is comprehension, third one is application, the fourth one is analysis, the fifth one is synthesis and the sixth one is evaluation. Okay, those points need to be memorized. Okay, then it says that knowledge includes the ability of the learner to recall data or information. So knowledge means the ability of a learner or a student to recall what he has read or heard, okay, or he has learned. The next point is, this is followed with comprehension. Okay, comprehension, which assesses the ability of the learner to understand the meaning. So the cognitive domain basically discusses that the method of teaching from in a younger age. So if you are studying in a first standard, okay, in first standard you will be basically recalling things, like you are recalling letters, you are recalling the names of fruits, you are recalling the names of animals, you are recalling the spelling of each words. So recalling is the basic level, the knowledge level is the base level. Okay, comprehension is if you are getting into a primary standard or a primary classes, you started to have comprehension, you will be starting to understand the meaning of things. Okay, first you will just learn or just recall the words, then you understand the meaning of each word. So first you are learning the word difficult, okay, so you are just recalling the spelling of the word, and there is a word called difficult. So the next level you are understanding the meaning of difficult. Okay, so that's the next level, which is known as comprehension. Okay, let's continue with cognitive domain. The next point is, we all know that application. Okay, knowledge, then comprehension, then application. This is followed by application, which shows the ability of the student to use abstract knowledge in new situation. Okay, so in application, an abstract knowledge is used in a new application. Okay, you are doing in a lab, so you are using an abstract language knowledge and you are applying it in a practical way. So that comes in the stage of application. Okay, the next point is analysis. Analysis category aims to differentiate facts and opinions. Okay, if someone is pointing at you and saying that you are a good person or you are a bad person, it's just his opinion. So someone is saying at you and he is saying to you that your weight is about 60 kg, or your weight is about 50 kg, or you have a height of 5.5 or 5.10 or something like that. So that is analysis. The differentiation between facts and opinions comes in analysis. Okay, the next point is synthesis. Okay, so synthesis shows the ability to integrate different elements or concepts in order to form a sound pattern or structure. Okay, you have learned different concepts and you are integrating all the concepts to a common concept, so that's called synthesis. Okay, then the next point is the last point, which is evaluation, which shows the ability to come up with the judgments about important concepts. Okay, a typical scenario is when a manager is able to identify and implement the most cost effective methods of production. in the bid to increase the profits while sustaining a high level of competitive advantage. So evaluation is basically judgment. So after all this learning process, you will be able to judge whether in life situations or whether you are in a professional situation, wherever it is, you will be able to give proper judgment, evaluation. Okay, so these are the 6 stages of cognitive domain. Okay, there are few more things to be discussed. Anderson, a former student of Bloom, and David Krathwohl revised the levels as following in 2001. Okay, so the person called Anderson, later in 2001, he revised the levels of teaching, which is inspired from Bloom and David Krathwohl. He was a former student of Bloom and David Krathwohl as well. Okay, so he revised the level. So what are the things which he revised? Let's look. So the first point is remembering. Okay, so the first level he revised it and called it as remembering. Okay, the first level is remembering. Then the second level is understanding. Okay, so understanding is comprehending the meaning and translation. Okay, so just getting the meaning of a topic. Okay, the first level is you reading something or you hear something and you recollect it later, that is remembering. The second point is understanding, getting the meaning of a concept. Okay, so the second level according to Anderson is understanding level. Okay, the third level is applying level. Okay, you are using the concept. So let's say if you are learning accounting, okay, you first remember the format of ledger and journal, you remember the definition of accounting and all, and later you understand what is debit, what is credit, how the principle applies in accounting and all. And later on, when you start working as an accountant, you start to apply the concepts you have learned. Okay, that's what applying means. So the fourth level according to Mr. Anderson is applying. Okay, then the next level is analyzing. Okay, it separates a material or concept into components, parts, so that its organizational structure may be understood. Okay, analyzing means you are going deeper into a concept. Okay, so these are the 4 levels which Anderson, a former student of Bloom and David, which he revised. Okay, so the last level is analyzing. Okay, so revising, understanding, applying and analyzing. Revising, understanding, applying and analyzing. So these are the levels which was revised by Mr. Anderson. Okay, we have completed the topics related to cognitive domain. Now we have to look at what is affective domain. Okay, so let's discuss what is an affective domain. Okay, so first of all, the affective domain includes in which we deal with things emotionally, such as feelings, values, appreciation, enthusiasm, motivations and attitude. It is basically how we deal with our feelings. The affective domain basically deals with our feelings. Okay, it's also formulated by Krathwohl, Bloom and Marcia in 1973. Okay, Bloom is also included, or Bloom is also involved in affective domain. Okay, and Krathwohl is also there, as well as Marcia is there. Okay, he's another person. So the year which they formulated such a theory is in 1973. Okay, so basically it's dealing with emotions. Okay, so we have seen all the emotions. So what are the next concept? So the affective domain includes the feeling, emotion and attitudes of individual. Please take a note of this point. Okay, it includes feelings, emotions, attitude, okay, of individuals. So cognitive was basically on our intelligence, and affective domain is basically on our emotions. Okay, So the next point is the categories of affective domain includes receiving phenomena, responding to phenomena, valuing, organization and characterization. Okay, so the affective domain is categorized into a receiving phenomena, then responding to the phenomena, and valuing, organizing and characterization. Okay, then the next point is the sub of receiving phenomena creates the awareness of feelings and emotions as well as the ability to utilize the selected attention. This can include listening attentively to lessons in class. Okay, if you are having some emotion or a positive emotion to a subject, then it will be easy for you to learn it as well as memorize it quickly. Okay, that's the main concept behind the affective domain. Okay, so that's what it said here. Okay, so then the next subdomain of responding to phenomena involves active participation of the learner in class or during group discussion. So here in affective domain, the significance of group discussion is pointed out in this theory. Okay, so then only students will have active participation. Okay, such participation will make a positive response or a positive emotion towards the subject, and it will help the student to learn the subject very easily. Okay, then the next point states valuing involves the ability to see the worth of something and express it. This includes the ability of a learner to share their view and ideas about various issues raised in class. Okay, valuing, the next level is, or the next category of affective domain is valuing. Valuing means knowing the worth of the subject which you are learning. Okay, then the next topic is, or the next category is subdomain of characterization. Explains the ability to internalize values and let them control the behavior of the individual. Okay, so we all know that teaching is actually, or learning is actually changing our behavior set. Okay, when we go through a learning process, our behavior has to change. So a characterization means if you are giving value to something or some idea which you have learned, so how it will change your behavior, it comes in characterization. Okay, so these are the categories of the affective domain. Okay, we have already learned cognitive domain, which is related to our intelligence, and before this we have learned affective domain, which is related to our emotions. Okay, now we are going to learn about the psychomotor domain. Okay, psychomotor domain. So let's look what is the psychomotor domain, or what does this theory states. So Dave developed this taxonomy in 1970. Okay, please note this point. It was developed in 1970, and psychomotor domain means it is mainly concerned with the acquisition of technical skills. So psychomotor domain is mainly concerned with acquisition of technical skills. We all know that the vocational higher secondary or vocational education system is basically based on the psychomotor domain. Okay, following are the 5 different levels of instructional objectives in psychomotor domain. These are the 5 different levels of instructional objectives of psychomotor domain. The first one is imitation. We all know that in the later years we used to have a caste system. How does it work? A person belonging to a certain community will only do the job which was assigned to them. So basically they was imitating their fathers and grandfathers. If some kind of a job is done by a father and grandfather, the person or the child would imitate his forefathers or father and grandfather and all, and he will also do the same job. That's called imitation. So imitation we have to be demonstrated. In the later years, children were taken in a very young age with their parents or their fathers, and they will look at how they work, and they will imitate, and they will get knowledge about the skill. Okay, that's how imitation works. The next point is manipulation. a learner tries to experiment various aspects like manipulating machinery equipment. So apart from imitation, manipulation means if he is doing something new apart from what he has learned. Okay, so that's how manipulation works. The third point is precision. Accuracy in performing various acts increases with practice. Okay, we all know that as long as you do something, your precision, or your, what would you say, your accuracy towards that skill will increase. Okay, then the fourth point is articulation. So what is articulation? Achieving a desired level of efficiency. Articulation means achieving a desired level of efficiency and effectiveness through practice. The last point, or the fifth point, is naturalization. Skill is internalized and an individual is able to adapt, modify or design new techniques, methods and procedures according to requirements of situation. Okay, naturalization means different kinds of skill is adapted towards different kinds of situations. Okay, so in this class we have basically learned three kinds of domains or taxonomies. The first one was cognitive domain, the second one was affective domain, and the third one is psychomotor domain. Okay, so make sure you take notes of the persons who are behind all these taxonomies as well as the years involved. Okay.